Okay, those of us who are able to lift the mast straight up, it makes it very easy, but there's quite a lot of junior sailing herons now, and some of us as we get a bit older tend to either have shoulder or wrist or elbow injuries. So putting the mast up, just pivoting from the bottom, can sometimes be a bit more difficult. So easiest way for anyone who finds it a bit hard to lift the mast like that is same system, lay the mast along the boat, side stays attached, but grab the mast in the middle of the boat and just pick it up and just a very slight pivot motion until the mast is vertical on the ground. Okay, the mast is quite stable at that. Note I don't have the forestay on for this method, but everything else works the same, except you're now just lifting vertically, and I can nearly do this one arm. Straight across, no elbows into there. Move your forestay out, the mast will nearly be sitting there on its own. And then just clip it onto the front as you normally would rig your boat. And done. To hoist the jib, we attach it at the front. Now we use a swage, ice swage fitting, depending on the boat as to how the bow fitting is arranged. This bow fitting here is a simple pin, pulls out and goes back in, and then we've got a split ring to secure. Just lock that off. Once we have it hoisted, we have our Cunningham eye here, which runs up through the eyelet and back through the cleat, and I'll show that shortly. Here's the top of the jib halyard, just a simple shackle into the top eye. We have a length of Dyneema here just into the head of the jib. That is adjusted when we first fit the jib to the boat, and then it just slips over the shackle pin, so it's the same setting every time. Now just hoisting the jib. Get your crew to help to make sure the jib doesn't get crunched on the way up. And if you want to come around here, Charlie, I'll show you where we lock our halyard off. Just straight onto the hook here, which we have different calibrations depending on the wind conditions. Okay, once your jib's upright, you want to make sure when you first set up your jib of a couple of key things which will make a difference on how it sets up. Now, assuming your mast rake is right, which we'll cover in a later video, what you're looking for with your jib sheeting is that it basically goes to halfway up the sail. So if you took your whisker pole and followed the line of that jib sheet, you'll see it goes about midway or just below on the forestay. That means it's pulling evenly along both the back of the sail, the leech, and the bottom of the sail, the foot. As you pull that on, that makes a big difference to how your sail twists and sheets and sits on the deck of the boat. So quick check, just make sure it's pointing approximately halfway, and once you get on the water you can fine tune that to suit the boat. Okay, so next step is to put your mainsail up. So your mains are normally rolled from the top to the bottom. So we gently flake ours into the bottom of the boat. Provided you don't pull hard on any of the sailcloth while it's sitting in the bottom of the boat, you won't crease it too badly. It'll just flake nicely and softly on itself, and as the sail pulls up, it'll pull it out. If you really want to take good care of your sails, you can roll them from the bottom prior to hoisting, and that's a terrific way to really make sure that they last the longest time with the fewest amount of creases. Now, our halyard, as I mentioned, is a 2-to-1 halyard. It's just got a simple shackle at the top, and here's the shackle up. Pop it into the shack, and up we go. All the way up, we've got a little hook at the front of the sail attached to the gooseneck that we just hook onto our Cunningham eye, and then we pull the mainsail up to our calibrated point. Okay, putting the boom on, I rest the boom on my shoulder like this, grab the back of the sail, and slide it forward. If you cruise around, get them to line up the gooseneck for you as it comes to the front. And put it in. There it is. And again, we have a quick hook on our outhaul here. It's a 4-to-1 outhaul on this boat. The purchase isn't critical, but you'll find anything less than 4-to-1 and you'll have trouble adjusting coming around the bottom mark to get back to your all-important settings. Now, I've mentioned settings a few times already and calibration. You will note, and I'll do another separate video on calibration, but every fitting on our boat which is adjustable has a calibration setting. So I end up at the same spot every time. So our outhaul, there we go, is set for upwind. Ours comes through a deadeye at the back of the boat. I've got a little lead spliced into my boat to make things nice and easy to feed. Go through there, back through the other deadeye, and we simply tie a figure 8 at that point. And then I pull the main sheet on, and you can see having a deadeye is a very positive way of having the sheeting of your boat be consistent. Where you have a pulley, you'll find this point flops from side to side, from tack to tack. Where having these fixed eyes, they set up exactly at the all-important angle for sailing upwind, and with the minimal deflection you have, there's not much friction added by these dead eyes anyway. So we've found that this system is a much more reliable sheeting method than any others we've experimented in over the past. Okay, so inside the boat you can see that's where the dead eyes run, down to a pulley and then forward to the auto ratchet on the back of the boat.